Hey everybody, I'm Hoppy Gamer. It's been a rough couple hours trying to get this video set up. I have reviewed these beers today already. And since I'm an amateur and you guys are used to this, we had a camera battery failure problem. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about two beers from my good friend Pat. He's a home brewer, and I work with him. He's giving me a 6-pack and a cheat sheet, so I know what they are. I've got two of them opened and poured. One we're going to call KBS TC001. Until I looked at this and that, I had no idea what he had given me, other than the list. I grabbed them out of the 6-pack randomly, and what we ended up with is a bourbon barrel aged stout, and I poured this right before the camera came on and the head is dissipated, so I apologize. But this is what he's calling a tortilla wheat beer with jalapeno and a hint of lime. So I've tasted them both already. Normally I taste them on camera, but we had a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rehash what I did, because I enjoyed both of them. So let's pretend that never happened. So let's start with, I've got my pretzels. Not sure about eating pretzels with the wireless mic on, but I do want to separate these flavors. I'm going to start with the bourbon barrel aged stout. Nice thick head. When I first poured it, it was a good inch and a half in my Guinness pint glass, and still, even on the second pour out of this bottle, plenty of cocoa and coffee coming right off. Okay, so here's what you're going to get out of Pat's Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout. I reviewed a Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout from Pat. I don't know if this is the same batch. It's very similar. You immediately get hit with sweetness on the front of the tongue from the chocolate nibs. Then you've got cocoa on the sides, and then the bourbon barrel flavoring grabs the outside of my tongue. I really like this. A lot of cocoa. Excuse me. Chocolate. Dark chocolate. Cacao, if you will. Very good. It's creamy but not heavy. The carbonation is, it's, for my preference, it's spot on. I don't enjoy a stout or a porter that pours light on carbonation. It's, it's beer, it's not syrup. Well done, Pat, on this. I know I've reviewed this in the past. Stout aged in a bourbon, I got a cheat sheet. 9% alcohol by volume, bourbon barrel with coffee and cocoa nibs. If this is the same batch, then I know I liked it the first time. Hopefully my review is similar. So something about Pat I need to tell you. So I've worked with Pat since 2003. Can you believe that, Pat? And we met when I first hired on at the place where I work. He's been there longer than that, still there. Him and I work different departments, but we see each other every day. We interact a lot. And Pat has a ability and a drive to brew good beer. He's not just trying things. I mean, he does. He experiments, but he's smart with his recipes. He keeps good notes. He knows what he likes and doesn't like, knows what is successful and doesn't. And when he gives something out to me, and counting this 6, I think we've got about maybe 12 under our belts. I just looked over at myself. I'm all flesh. Apologize for that. No makeup in this studio. Probably he's given me 12 counting these 6. So this will be like, and that's a guess, 7 or 8 or 10 different beers that Pat has brewed and brought and given me a bottle. And I've yet to come across one that, regardless if I prefer the flavor or the style, he does a very good job. I think he's got a future in brewing, especially here in the Antelope Valley. I'm in Southern California, and if you're in this area, um, hit me up on Twitter or something, and I'll get you one or two of these that Pat brews. There's 3 or 4 decent local craft breweries. There's 4. All 4 are small. All 4 produce quality beers. I would say the largest in terms of volume of sales is probably Kinetic Brewing. Kinetic Brewing in Lancaster, California, has a restaurant, so they push more, and I see them in the public. Next would be Bravery Brewing. I haven't been to their little tasting room yet. Bravery, when I've only had 3 or 4 there. That needs to be a stop for mine, a stop for me. As I get more into this beer review critic crap. Anyway, Bravery is probably second as far as popularity in the valley. Then you have 2 other craft breweries that don't like the word breweries, mostly because of how I pronounce it. There's 2 more that I think are more focused on their beer, not the sales. That would be Lucky Luke and Transplants. Transplants, I think, is the newest of the 4, but so far my favorite. They try some different stuff. I attended a beer fest this summer at our local baseball stadium, and they did an oyster saison or something like that. Well, I didn't really enjoy. I mean, I wouldn't go in and order an oyster beer, but it was well executed. It was absolutely well executed. All that to say, that was my pause between the beers because I don't want to crunch on a pretzel on camera. Bourbon Barrel Porter, very good. Great chocolate hints. Not like a milkshake, not like chocolate milk, just like a roasted. It's just good. I really enjoy that. I might finish that one. The second we've got is this rather light, rather clear, so it's obviously filtered wheat beer. He calls it TC001. Wheat beer with a jalapeno, coriander, tortilla chips, and a touch of lime, fermented with California ale yeast. Enjoy with a lime on the side. I won't do that. I'm not enjoying a slice of anything on the side with my beer, Pat. You and I are diverging on that point. I just don't do that. I see why people do it with like Corona to get rid of that nasty taste. But anyway, so Pat's got this. When he presented this to me, when he presented this theory to me at work, it was a tortilla beer. Now that it's open, it's a jalapeno beer. It is not spicy, no heat at all. If you think of like a European sessionable wheat beer, that's the flavor. And then you're getting a jalapeno pepper flavor with it. I'm not getting a little bit of lime, tiny little bit of lime. The coriander is kind of like if you're eating a biscuit and there's herbs in it, but it's not like you're eating raw basil or some other dried herb or something. The coriander is giving it just an aroma, but the number one thing that comes out here to me is the pepper flavor, the jalapeno pepper flavor, not heat. Don't confuse that. Is the flavor of the jalapeno is prominent and delicious. I really like this. When I first opened it, before the camera failed, it was really cold, and now it's barely above room temperature, and the everything's balanced out a little bit. When it was colder, the jalapeno flavor was even more prominent, and that, along with the crispiness of the carbonation is spot on for me. It's not too much, it's not dry, and it's not flat, so it's perfect. It's a great. I'm guessing that's That's beer 101, is getting your carbonation right. But when I drank it cold, everything popped a little more of this. Sometimes you, excuse me, in a more complex beer like an IPA or a, I don't know, something else, things get muted when they're cold. I would think this would be more muted. Excuse me, right out of the refrigerator. This is room temperature. This one's just above, or excuse me, just below room temperature. And now that it's room temperature, everything's balanced out. It punched more when cold. So it's almost like two different beers. Not really, but it's almost like when it's cold, you definitely got more of a bite. And the jalapeno oils were a little more prominent. Absolutely spot on. Good job on both of these, Pat. I know you're trying to catch me. He made a little note at the bottom of my list that he gave me. It said, feedback, good and bad, is appreciated. We have different tastes and preferences. Besides, maybe I'm purposefully slipped in a bad beer to make sure you're keeping it real. Cheers. Yeah, we'll see. That's 2 out of the 6, and neither are bad. What I have to look forward to is an Orange Blossom Honey, which is a sparkling, we're going to see, 13.5% alcohol by volume. Huge alcohol content, and he says it's sparkling. So that's in the 6-pack. Just did the stout, the KBS, the Bourbon Barrel Stout, and the wheat with jalapeno. He's got another wheat with jalapeno in here, or he's calling tortilla chip. This is TC001. He's got a TC590, which had a different yeast, a French Saison yeast. So that'll be interesting because, like I said, this is crisp and sessionable. If we get French Saison yeast going on, it might get some little more body into it. There's a regular stout. He thinks it's the base beer before he did the KBS. Can't really remember. And then he's got a mead. Apple cider and spices. Didn't make a lot of notes. So I don't drink a lot of meads. I think I probably purposefully bought a mead maybe 3 times. And I don't know what I was doing when I was drinking it. I'll just try this. So anyway, very good. Well done on both the stout and what I'm going to call the jalapeno wheat. Because I don't get a lot of corn or tortilla in that. So if you wanted more of that, I say stick with the jalapeno. I like this a lot. Although if you do another batch that's more tortilla prominent, I'll gladly taste it for you. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is good. I did that. It was a Green Flash last weekend. The Serranos ale, Dia de los Serranos or something like that. That had the heat. That had the flavor of the Serranos, but more heat than the flavor. This brought the flavor of the jalapeno. So if you like jalapenos, you like a sessionable crisp. Well, I don't want to say crisp because it's not as crisp as it was when it was cold. But I'm very happy with this one. And this is classy. This is a classy bourbon barrel aged stout. I think you could bottle that and sell it, Pat. Honest to goodness. As good as anything I've bought. So anyway, I'm the Hoppy Gamer. There's my beer review for the week. Please share this if you like it. Share it with your other beer drinking buddies. If you live in the Antelope Valley, please hit me up on Twitter at the Hoppy Gamer, and let's get you some of Pat's beer, and let's get together down at Bravery. Let's hook up locally at Transplants or something. I'd love to do a beer review on location. That's kind of something I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks. So I'm gonna start making relationships and maybe make that happen. I know Pat probably doesn't want to get on camera. He's that kind of guy. So I probably won't do these with Pat in the room. And who wants to have their stuff reviewed live on television or video? So anyway, thank you again. Please subscribe. And I'm Hoppy Gamer. See you next time. Bye.